So private equity, Mr. Carwash really drove that. They went public recently, but prior to that, there were still several groups out there that were growing. ICWG came over from Europe and started growing here in the United States. Or actually it was IMO, and then they got acquired by private equity in the States. And several other groups out there, ZEPs, and now you've got Go and Champion and Quick Quack and Tidal Wave. I mean, there's many of them out there that are growing at a pretty fast pace. And by fast, I mean they're growing by anywhere from 10 to 50 a year, depending on their ability to acquire and how fast they can build. Well, I think right now private equity has jumped into the mix, and there's many private equity groups out there driving product. They're building washes across the country in large swaths, or they're acquiring. I think there's probably, my guess, 15 or 16,000 express washes in the country, and I think saturation is around probably 30,000. And I think that means we've got about 5 years, maybe 6 years of continued growth before we reach that saturation point, kind of like the Walmarts and Targets and McDonald's and stuff like that, where you'll still see them popping up, but they won't be nearly as rapid as it is right now. That, along with the continued growth of in the private equity group on the equipment side and the acquisition of businesses across there, I think we're going to see kind of a gold rush for the time being. And then I think that's going to level out to some degree for a period of time. And then sometime during that, somebody's going to come up with something new and innovative and creative to do that's going to take us in a different direction. The war right now is on the equipment side. 2 companies that have been acquired by private equity, which are now acquiring all of the sub-companies or the ancillary equipment companies to become an all-in-one operator. Their focus is to sell equipment to private equity. So that would be the companies that are out building washes or acquiring washes. They're buying $60 million, $70 million equipment acquisitions at one swipe. And I think that's going to leave that independent operator kind of unattended. And that's where guys like me come in, and we help them. I'm not going to be the guy that's out there negotiating private equity deals. That's not my role or my focus, but I can help guys like you get in the car wash industry without having to pay the premiums that the private equity companies are paying, by making good decisions and remembering the need versus the want, remembering the mission statement, keeping that stuff in focus versus just driving the numbers. This is a time where, through all these acquisitions, it's getting more difficult for other equipment manufacturers to get to the marketplace. And I'm seeing those companies invest in themselves, expanding their base, building their own distribution networks that are corporate owned and managed versus selling out and acquiring. I think that they're the ones that are going to be still standing at the end of the day. Then you got others that are not as focused on it, that I think are going to end up either being acquired or being pushed out of the business. But with private equity, competition will come. always happens. It always balances itself out. That's the great thing about a free market society is we can innovate and recreate ourselves on the fly. So that's the exciting part about it. You know, what I love about this industry is that you can still invent things and still come up with new products. And the one thing that I do believe with acquisition and with private equity is it will drive competition. I think right now there's a couple of players out there that are dominating the market, but at some point somebody's going to see an opportunity to go in there and compete with them. And it's going to continue to drive the market. You know, I don't know that we'll ever get completely saturated. It's a big country and it continues to grow. Houston is a big city and it continues to grow. So there's no natural barriers west of here, so we're just going to keep going west until San Antonio's a suburb. So that's what it feels like anyways. So ultimately, I think that I think we're all in a good place in the long haul to be in an industry that continues to grow and innovate.